So today is our last day of official basketball practice. The girls will wrap up with some strength and conditioning stuff tomorrow, but I couldn't be more excited about what we've put together and the way that it's come along throughout the summer. I absolutely love being in the gym with this group. They have exceeded the expectations that I had in terms of their character, their leadership, and the chemistry that has all come together so quickly. So I'm just very proud of the summer. Feel like we had a lot of growth and really excited about what's ahead for us.
So what does the next little bit then look like for you in terms of, how much contact can you have, and how do you what are the next steps for the team from here?
Yeah, they've been giving it everything that they have all summer long. We get 8 weeks to work out, and they've just done every single thing that we've asked them to do. So to be honest, over these next couple weeks, I've told them, you need to do what you need to do to not take steps backwards. We don't want to do that, but go fill your tank, go do what you need to do to clear your mind, have your heart posture in a good place when you come back, and physically feel good. So I've just really, kind of entrusted each of them to make good choices. And the one thing about this group, they're always in the gym. I don't ever have to question their work ethic. I actually have to tell them to get out of the gym, which is a great problem to have. So they just kind of are all doing their own thing and spending time with family and friends.
It's one thing to be positive, it's one thing to be demanding. How do you put those two together to create such a culture that you've created?
I think that it's just important to be honest with people, and the truth is I have such high expectations for every one of these girls, and just feel like they've got so much to offer. They have so many gifts, and for me it's just important to be demanding, to push them to use those gifts to the fullest of their ability. And it's easy to be positive when they have all the gifts that they do.
You spent so much time building this roster. What was it like to kind of see it in action this summer? What was it? What you thought it would be, or just kind of what was that?
It's better. I knew that the talent was there, but I was unsure of how long it was going to take for them to build that chemistry. I was unsure, of course, of just the people that they are. We say it all the time, but the portal is kind of like speed dating. You can only learn so much about a person in the short amount of time that we have. And I knew the girls were good. I knew I was getting good people, good families, but the intangibles that they have, the leadership that they've shown, it's far exceeded the expectations that I had going into it.
Jacie, to that point, did you go into the spring anticipating a lot of turnover or this change? Is that just kind of the era that we live in now?
Unfortunately, I think it is. I think for most teams, if you are able to retain, even half your roster, like, you're in a pretty good spot. But not that it's a bad place to be if you don't. I do think that it's just kind of the new way of the world, unfortunately. But fortunately, right? Like, I love the way that we were able to reload and what we've got now. It's been really neat to see it all come together. And I had a good indication that we were going to have to go to the portal pretty heavily in the off season, and I think my staff did a really good job in that in-between time of kind of loading up our guns and getting ready to go out and go to war. And I owe a lot to my staff. I've said it before, but Jacie Hoyt and Kelby Jones specifically just got in that portal and really got after it. So it was helpful to know. I don't want to say I was blindsided by any means, but that was good for us to be able to have time to prepare and get after it when that portal opened.
So you've built momentum. Of course, 2 years ago you made the NCAA tournament. Last year you won a game, but then now you have an entirely new roster. So is that kind of an interesting dynamic for you?
Well, I think one of the things that people don't realize, as much talent as we have, really we don't have a lot of NCAA tournament experience. Audie Crooks has won, in her 3 years, one NCAA tournament game. Liv McGill has never been to an NCAA tournament. The majority of our kids haven't been. So, of course we have really high expectations for ourselves. No one's ever going to have higher expectations than I have of myself and of our team. But at the same time, there is a reality that there's going to be some building that's going to need to take place. And, we're just trying to take it one day at a time at this point.
You alluded to the idea, you sort of knew what you were getting in talent, but you have to kind of wait till everybody's here to see, are they going to fit together and how long will that take? Is there a moment this summer when you could kind of like breathe out and go, everything's coming together? I don't know, was there a moment when you kind of felt good about everything?
Definitely. I think as we started playing, probably as early as the second week, and that's why I say I was pleasantly surprised, but just seeing them mesh together on the court it happened very quickly. Last week was kind of a cool spot for me to be in as a coach because I had to go out recruiting on Friday and actually had to miss practice, and I gave our players an assignment that they didn't see coming, that they actually had to make up the practice plan and then execute it as if the coaches were there, and they nailed it from what I hear. They FaceTimed me after, very proud, and gave me a really good report, and all the things that they said on that FaceTime call just were really great signs for me that they get it. The buy-in is there, they understand what the expectation is, and they understand that they want to show up for each other and for their coaches and do it whether the coaches are there or not.
Was there anything specific they said on that call that, like, just words that you're like, yes, this is what I wanted to hear?
Yeah, we've talked about just going 1-0 every day and then stacking those days. So when we set out on that kind of adventure or challenge, the goal was to go 19-0 because that's how many days we had left, and that was of course at the end of the week, and they said, Coach, we went 5-0 this week, and that was cool for me to hear of like, they get it.
What have you learned about Audie that, just throughout this summer in the weeks that you've had her now?
She's got this amazing charisma about her that just attracts people. It's this positive energy and joy that I think is really needed for this group. This group is incredibly businesslike and professional. And I think Liv McGill has really established herself as a leader for the way we want to compete, the way we want to work. Liv is very, very professional in her approach. And I think Audie has been really good for our team to kind of bring a lighter side to things and make it fun and joyful. Audie said something really neat today, just about how much she's loving the game right now. And she said, I feel like 10-year-old Audie playing the game that I love. And I believe her when she says that, because you can see that and you can feel that. And it's just been really neat to be around.
We've all seen what Audie can do offensively. How are you guys helping kind of work with her to improve on the defensive end and the impact she can have on that end of the floor?
You just have to challenge her. I mean, every day we've challenged her to be intentional about that side of the ball and to be as active as possible. Putting her in different scenarios. She's had to guard on the perimeter. She's had to guard on the block. She's been in a lot of ball screen action. So I think just being intentional about the spots that we put her and then challenging her to step up in that role.
So Gallagher Arena, I don't know if the crowds necessarily got bigger, but they definitely were more engaged and impacted games more last year. Talk about that and how that needs to continue.
We've only lost 2 home games in the last 2 seasons, and I'm so proud of that. And I say it all the time, that is a huge testament to our fan base and the atmosphere that they have created. Where I'm really proud as a coach is from year 1 to now going into year 5. I think we have a fan base that understands the game. They've always been loyal and true. That's just the Oklahoma State way. So they've always been, there with a passion, but now I think they're starting to understand the game. They're starting to understand when to cheer, when the team needs them, when, we go on a run or the other team goes on a run. Some of those settings or opportunities where they understand the assignment, I think that's been really neat to kind of see that grow in terms of our fans' knowledge of the game.
Staley told us that there was a time in the spring where she was the only person here, but she was still going through workouts. This might have been left up to the strength coach, but how do you plan a spring schedule for one person? How do you manage that?
Well, I mean, it was awesome. She got all the attention from everyone, right? And sometimes I don't know that she loved that, but she got in and she worked hard, and it was really neat to see her understand that was an opportunity for her to really grow her own personal game. And she got a lot of threes up in the spring, and that's, I think, been a part of her game that has been a little more inconsistent than what we have wanted. As good as it has been at some points, just trying to get more consistent, and I've seen that pay off this summer. She's a knockdown 3-point shooter so far at this point, and so I think this spring was really good for her to grow in her confidence and just work on parts of her game that if she would have been with other teammates, maybe couldn't have put as much attention on.
And you mentioned Taryn earlier. How cool is it as a sister to see your sister sort of excelling in her role?
Yeah, super proud, but not surprised at all. I've watched her do great things her entire life. She was everything that people talk about with my mom's record and winning. She was a part of that. She was a part of that 107-game win streak. I don't think she ever got a B her entire life. Like, she's always been a very high-achieving, highly motivated person. So I'm not surprised at all. But it has been really neat to see the evolution of her as a coach and specifically a recruiter.
Only a few more for Coach.
So in the off season, coaches like to self-reflect on their own program. So as you did that, what parts of the program did you say, okay, we're really good here, let's keep that, but then what parts do you think maybe we need to improve on?
Yeah, I think we really, like I keep saying, we just came together as a team and figured out kind of what works and what pieces need to be where. Offensively, I felt like we learned a lot about ourselves. The areas that I think we still, have some question marks are just, we have a couple pieces that we haven't had this summer, for a good reason, because those players have been with their national team. So we still, have some building in terms of our chemistry and putting it all together. Because we haven't had our whole team, it's been a little bit hard sometimes to go 5-on-5 and get that full big picture look at it. So that's kind of the next step for us, I think, is just seeing, a full 5-on-5 type setting.
What did, in terms of going after LA and getting her to come here, what did you see in her initially, and what's it been like getting to know her better this summer?
Well, I mean, she was a 5-star coming out of high school. I loved watching her coming out of high school, and then hated to see her in our league. But I think that she just has an ability to facilitate, and obviously with the way that we've always played, we've always been a team that really shares the ball and wants to make the extra pass and make reads and ball screens, and I felt like she fit that really, really well. Where I needed someone in this offseason to really come in and play a big role was defensively, just being that defensive stopper. And I felt like she has the ability to do that, and I've seen her really excel in that in this summer.
Last one for Coach.
You've talked about how important it was for you during the recruiting process to be kind of upfront with everybody. And we talked to LA, and she talked about what stuck out was kind of a low light reel, and Audie talked about the same thing. Is that something you've always kind of done in the recruiting process, or where'd that idea come from?
I think for me, it's just important to be who I am. And I tell our players every day, it's my job to tell you the truth. And that truth is always going to be out of love. Sometimes it might feel really good, and sometimes it's going to feel not so good. But that's how I coach. That's who I'm going to be every single day. So I feel like on visits and in the recruiting process, it's important for me to be honest about that, because if they can't take the feedback, it's probably not going to be a good match for me, right? So I just believe in honesty. I believe in me being able to be who I am naturally, and I feel like the players who appreciate that or want that, it's just a magical connection when it all comes together. And she has definitely fit that mold for us. I think every single kid on our roster has.
Perfect. We'll end it there.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
you.
Thanks,
All
Coach.
right, we'll see ya.
See ya.